Hi guys, Tammy here again. So I know it's becoming a theme now, more of a religious channel. However, and I know this is a silly thing to say for many people, some people do seriously think that Jesus was Greek. He was not. And the evidence for that is it's not historical because there is no historical evidence for Jesus and his mom, peace be upon them both. However, there is evidence for Jews, Christians, and Muslims of the existence of prophets. And the prophets that the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims believe in is Abraham. Now, Prophet Abraham, peace and blessings be upon him, he was from the southern part of Iraq. He was Al Chaldees, from Chaldees, the city of Ur. Okay? So he was from that area. And according to scriptural religious text, he had two sons, Isaac and Ismail. Isaac was the one that became the father of the Jews, and Ismail is the one that became the father of the Arabs. And hence, that's the reason why the ethnicity of the Jews is it's a Jewish ethnicity, and for Arabs also, that's their ethnicity. They're Arabs from the family line of Abraham, Prophet Abraham. Okay? So, this is just to put into context and to tell people who are not really knowledgeable about the existence of Arabs, because they have been listening to this idea for decades now that the Arabs are not indigenous to the Middle East. They're just as indigenous as the Jews to be in the Middle East. Okay, they're actually from the same branch of the same family. They're cousins. Any Arab you ask, they'll tell you they're cousins with the Jews. Okay, so how this video originally started from is because there are many people out there that really believe that Christianity is a European religion, and that's just not true. Okay, it's been in Europe for a very long time. It's very well established in Europe. However, it's not originally from there. So when people are coming from the Middle East or from Africa or from Asia in general, and Europeans are saying, we don't want you here, we don't want your religion here, your religion is foreign to Europe, it's not, and that's another story for another episode. However, Jesus was born in Bethlehem. And in this day and age, currently, Bethlehem still exists in the country of Palestine. Okay? That's where Jesus was born. He was from the Middle East. He was ethnically Jewish. So was his mom. And his mom was from the family of Zechariah and Aaron. Her brother's name was Aaron according to the Bible. And I think the Quran too. Mary was from the line of Prophet Abraham. She was also ethnically Jewish. There's no way she was a Greek in hiding, okay? So please, for those people that still think that Jesus or Mary were Greek, they were 100% not, okay? They were ethnically Jewish from the branch of Abraham, his son Isaac, from his son Isaac, okay? He was definitely not blue-eyed and blonde hair. He for sure wore robes, long flowing robes, and he for sure had long hair and a beard, because at that time, barbershops were not, just, you couldn't just go to the barbershop at that time. So blonde haired, blue-eyed Jesus, it's kind of silly. And he was definitely not black, because he was not from Africa, but he was definitely not white. He was somewhere in between, most likely. Okay? Now, at the time of Jesus' birth, the area, all up and down that area, was all Roman territory. So there was, the lingua franca was probably Latin. Greek was very common because there was a lot, like thousands, if not millions, of Greeks living all over the Asian area, the Anatolia area, the Turkish area, current Turkish area. All those areas were very heavily habitated by Greeks, ethnic Greeks. So it's understandable how some people might think that Jesus was Greek, and also because the most oldest Bibles of the most oldest Bibles that exist are in Greek. Kina language, Greek, not Koine Greek, Kina Greek. Okay. So anyway, it's understandable how some people might think that Jesus might have been Greek because he lived in an area where there were a lot of Greeks, but that's not true. Jesus spoke Aramaic. That was his mother language. That was probably most likely the language that he grew up, his mother language. And he also was educated in Hebrew. So he also taught in Hebrew. He was a teacher of, he taught in the temple. It's all over the Bible, okay? There's no evidence at all that he spoke Greek. On top of the fact that we don't have any historical evidence of Jesus, there is no evidence that Jesus spoke Greek. It's most likely that he probably did know some Greek. It's most likely that he did speak some Latin words, but he for sure knew Aramaic and he for sure knew Hebrew, okay? So, the Arabs and the Jews are both considered Semites. They're all from that area, from the Middle East, from Asia. They're all considered Semites. They speak a Semitic language. Hebrew is a Semitic language, and Arabic is a Semitic language. So when somebody says you're anti-Semitic, it's a very, very general term. It does not mean just for Jews only. It also means for Arabs as well. It doesn't necessarily mean somebody who is Jewish, religiously Jewish, but somebody who's ethnically a Semite, okay? A Semite can be an Arab and a Jew, okay? Now let's go back to the topic of Christianity. So Christianity was spread by the apostles of Jesus originally, all throughout that area from Bethlehem and Jerusalem outwards. However, the Roman Empire had a large impact on the spreading of Christianity. And of course, let's not forget that the Roman Empire ran right along the top of Africa, large parts of Europe, and well into Asia. I want to make a little note here that when people say the Good Samaritan, Samaritans are from the Middle East. They're currently just a small portion of currently they are a small community that lives just outside of Jerusalem. I think they number only about 1,000. But when you say you're being a good Samaritan, you mean that it's somebody from the Middle East, okay? It's not somebody from Europe. It's not somebody necessarily white. It's a person from the Middle East. This is all just for those xenophobes out there. Now, I remember reading a long time ago that the Byzantine Empire killed conservatively ethnic Greeks in all that area that it controlled at the time, and the numbers could be as high as 20 million. So I don't know if that's true or not. I tried to find the source for it. I couldn't find it, but this is what I have read. If anybody has any more information, I would really appreciate it. You could put it down below. But as far as I know, the Byzantine Empire, in their process to Christianize everybody, they killed a lot of people that were considered pagan or non-Christian and would not convert. So they killed a lot of people, and that was like through the course of many centuries. Of course, don't forget the Spanish Inquisition and all the other Inquisitions, the Roman Inquisition, the Catholic Inquisition. There was many Inquisition. It wasn't just the Spanish Inquisition. That was just one of the more known ones. But there are many Pope-sponsored Inquisitions where they either killed, maimed, imprisoned, kicked out, took their homes, took their businesses. They were heavily persecuted, and they had many of their temples closed or converted into churches. But the end game was so that they could Christianize Europe. That was the end goal. This is not meant to be a negative video about Christianity, because my belief is that religion is not the source of evil. It's people that is the source of evil, and they have used Christianity or Judaism or Islam or Buddhism or Hinduism. They have used religions all throughout the centuries in order to make money or to gain power or fame, and so they've ended up corrupting religions in the process and making them look bad. But in reality, it's the people that are the bad It's the people that are the problem and not the religions. All throughout the centuries since Christianity began, there have been a lot of pro-Christian, anti-paganism laws, and so all throughout the centuries, it was, to mildly put it, it was encouraged for somebody to be Christian, and it was discouraged, to put it mildly, to be anything else. But let's not forget all the Crusades. Let's not forget all the Inquisitions from the Pope, from Isabella and Ferdinand. And let's not forget this was happening all throughout Europe, and also in other parts of the world where colonization was happening by the European powers or countries. They were bringing in priests or people that were Bible thumping, or they were like promoting Christianity, and they ended up trying to their goal was to Christianize everybody, but oftentimes people ended up getting persecuted or killed because, people didn't want to cooperate. They preferred to stick to their religion. So it's understandable why they instituted, or they swapped out, pagan holidays for Christian holidays. They just changed the name of the holiday in order to promote Christianity more. And so when you think of Christmas, many people don't know that Christmas is not the time when Jesus was born. If you read the Bible very carefully, you're going to see that if you go by the descriptions during the time of the birth of Jesus, you're going to see that it was not winter when he was born. It was most likely spring or summer, and that's very important. But because people were celebrating Saturnalia, which is December 25th-ish, they wanted to make it more Christian. So they combined the two, and over time people forgot what it was originally about. The other thing I want to add that is the idea that people think that Christianity is European. It's not. It started in Europe in the 1st and 2nd century, just like it did in Africa and just like it did in Asia. And so Christianity began its history in all three of those continents. Because the majority of Europe is Christian in name, as far as I'm concerned, I think the majority of people nowadays are secular or atheists. So it's kind of laughable when people get upset that Muslims are coming to Europe and bringing something foreign to them, when Islam has been a part of Europe for many, many centuries. And if you don't believe me, look up the golden Age of Islam. For 8 centuries in the Spanish Peninsula, so Portugal and Spain and Northern Europe, it was all a part of Islam. If you look it up, some places they might say that it was an invasion of the Iberian Peninsula. However, the Muslims were there for 800 years in Portugal, in Spain, and other places, and they established the Golden Age of Islam there. And the Visigoths that had the territory before the Muslims came, they were horrible, and the Muslims were invited to come in and help them kick out the Visigoths. They were very, very violent, and so they came in, and for 800 years, the Muslims, the Christians, and the Jews lived together peacefully until the Spanish Inquisition came in and the Papal Inquisition came in, and they started killing off anybody that didn't comply with their ideas of what Christianity meant. And so now mostly the Muslim places of worship have been either destroyed, allowed to fall apart, or they've converted them into churches. But if you ever go to Spain or Portugal, look up the Islamic Golden Age and go and visit those places, and you will see the architecture that is still present today. Okay, so when you see Muslims, or when you see Spanish people or Portuguese people that are visibly darker than what you might think a European might look like. The reason is because of the Moors or the Muslims that came in through northern Africa. So I'm going to end this video, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If you have any comments, please don't forget to be nice. Like, share, follow, and hopefully I'll see you again on the next episode. But I want to remind people that if you are interested in reading the Quran, I happen to have a few copies, and I would be happy to send you one for free. So I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.